Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Guardians of the Republic. With me, as always, is Tony Hughes. How's
It's
it
going
going? Good.
very good. Thanks, Jonathan.
All right. I'm Jonathan Cole, and we're going to pick up on the same topic we speak about every week, and the imperial presidency of Donald Trump, and what the hell's going on with our Constitution.
What fresh level of hell are we in this week,
Exactly.
or just today?
Yeah, it's a daily thing now.
Daily thing now. It
So
is a daily thing.
it is. So, we talked too about we're finger pointing at Trump, but to be honest, it's kind of like the culpability of a lot of Republicans who are just blindly writing him a blank check. I saw the news tonight where Mike Johnson was trying to do some procedural votes to prevent any kind of approval of anything Trump is doing. And basically, as the commentator kind of put it, is transferring the power of Article 1 of the Constitution to Article 2.
hmm
How does that happen?
The same way the federal government will take over elections, despite the Constitution clearly saying it is a state function.
Exactly.
The Constitution is merely a suggestion to President Trump.
I don't even think it's a suggestion. I think it's just it's like it's kind of the hiccup in the road to him. I think, and not just him, but the people behind him, Stephen Miller's and the Steve Bannons and Roger Stone's and a lot of other people who this is the America they want.
Yep, you're right. You're right. Well, it's interesting, even with the issues with Howard Lutnick today. I don't know if you saw any of his testimony in front of Congress.
Yes.
Not to jump right into the Epstein files. Lutnick said unequivocally about a couple months ago that he met Epstein. Epstein lived like next door to him and had like one dinner with him at his house and decided he was a big creep and then cut off all ties until the new documents are released where you find out that, well, he didn't cut off all ties. In fact, he actually was on a cruise with his family, and they just happened to stop in to the island to have lunch with Jeffrey that day. And I mean, it's just, and then you ask Caroline Levitt, do you think that he should resign because he just outright lied? Oh no, he's a very important member of our team. And then they asked Mike Johnson, as Johnson's walking the halls of Congress, about should we take steps to impeach him because he's because of his testimony he's lied to the American people. And I don't know anything about that. I don't know anything about that. I mean, Mike Johnson, to be the Speaker of the House, has got to be one of the most uninformed people when it is convenient for him to be uninformed
Exactly.
I've ever met. I mean, I think
the job description is to know everything going on, not only with your party but the opposing party. So
well,
this active memory thing is kind of par for
well,
the course.
Trump and his administration is incapable of admitting any mistakes, and when you are caught in, just like the post about Obama, which he didn't do, his staffer did it. I didn't look at the whole video, but that wasn't a mistake, and so I'm not going to apologize for it.
Yeah.
I loved what Jon Stewart said last night, that Trump meant to hit like, instead hit share.
True.
But what do you expect? He has there's no moral compass there.
But that's
At
kind
all.
of been how his defenders for the longest time have defended everything he's ever uttered. It's on videotape or it's digital, whichever. He blatantly says something. Oh no, he didn't say that. That's AI
Yeah.
or that's fake news. Or oh no, you got to have a sense of humor. He was
He's
just
just
joking.
kidding. He's just
Yeah.
kidding. Just joking.
Or you just took it out of context. You didn't play the entire hour of video.
Yeah, he wants to build this. He wants to build this new arch to himself on the
Yeah.
mall in Washington. Oh well, that's just a joke. He likes to see the liberals melt down when he talks about spending hundreds of millions of dollars in taxpayer funds to do
Yeah.
something that he wants to have done. And it's just a joke. Just a joke.
Well,
No, he's just kidding about wanting
yeah.
his name on Dulles Airport or Penn Station at the train station. He's just joking about all that. And this, okay, so he's holding up some money, to the city until they go along with it. It's just a joke.
Yeah.
Come on, Jonathan, can't you Democrats take a joke?
Yeah, I know. It's yeah, I don't know why we're so sensitive. But you say it, not you, the people say it's a joke, but he renamed the Kennedy Center for himself.
Unilaterally.
And now he's shutting it
Okay,
down.
well, with the board that he appointed, but he's shutting it up because nobody wants to go there now.
No, it's
The artists are
artists.
canceling left and right.
Exactly. And and like I said, it's a matter of how long is this kind of behavior going to go on and him still have the support of an entire party? Because, we've talked the last couple of weeks about his attack on the Constitution and especially constitutional concepts that Republicans have held sacred for years,
Yeah,
especially the Second Amendment. We kind of hem hawed, but now he's back to those people shouldn't have had guns, you know,
yeah,
at a protest, and
yeah.
blah blah blah. It's when does their internal accountability start to come in?
Well, even Perino said if you bring a, and I know that Washington D.C.'s got a very restrictive gun
Yeah,
policy. I'm still not sure how really constitutional it is, frankly, but you can still get permits to carry a weapon in Washington D.C. But generally speaking, somebody like me traveling there, I can't carry a weapon into Washington D.C. because of the law.
right.
But Janine, she just basically said, "Look, we will put you in jail. You bring a gun to D.C., we were going to put you in jail."
Yeah.
It's like
So
that's not conservative republicanism. I'm sorry, it's just not. It's just not.
I think about that, and so to use the old saying, it's not that Ronald Reagan is spinning in his graves. What kind of RPMs is he generating? Right?
I don't know, but I tell you what, I think he would match the power output that the Hoover Dam's kicking out right this minute. So
Yeah,
it's really unbelievable. And there's just been so much. It's just easy to kind of ramble. But I got to talk about the Super Bowl for just a second.
yes,
I mean, you talk about thin-skinned, hypersensitive MAGA. Well, we don't like Bad Bunny. He's not an American. He speaks Spanish. I mean, it's a freaking halftime show. Who really cares? At the end of the
yeah,
day, why? Oh, well, we're gonna have our own halftime show. Okay, fine. Carried on the Trinity Broadcasting Network, a
yeah,
Christian television network. And who headlines? Kid Rock.
yes.
Kid Rock. Now, I saw Kid Rock in concert in Mobile 2 years ago. It's like he's getting $100 royalty every time he drops an F-bomb when he's on stage. I think every song has got the F-bomb in it. You've never seen a mother bleep like me as a song title?
Yeah,
Okay, did I understand what Bad Bunny's saying? No, I don't speak Spanish. And I did not appreciate the images and the production and the storyline in his show. I had been to Puerto Rico before, and I tell you, it looks third world. It really does. It is a very
yeah,
poor area. There's no question about it. I mean, San Juan is nice as far as the downtown area. Some of the resorts on the water are beautiful, but the countryside, the villages, it looks like Mexico. I mean, it's and the power grid is terrible, and we've heard all the horror stories about what happened after the hurricanes,
yeah,
and the United States really, okay, and for anybody listening, Puerto Rico is an owned territory of the United States.
yep,
Their citizens are United States citizens, just like me, just like Jonathan, and just like you are,
yes.
just as much. Except they don't really get a chance to vote for president, which is really kind of sad.
They
But
also don't have representation.
and they don't have
They have one
representation in
person
Congress.
that comes to Congress, but they can't vote.
Yep.
A representative, but they have no vote.
And but they do qualify for every benefit that you and I qualify for.
Well, they serve in the military.
They serve in the military. If they receive any income from the Continental 48, they file a tax return with the Internal Revenue Service. They pay
Yep.
taxes just like we do. If all their income, I mean, I learned this because when I spent a year and a half working with the SBA during the COVID crisis,
Yeah.
and I was on one of my jobs was handling appeals from people that got turned down for their economic injury disaster loans,
Right.
and there were a significant proportion, a disproportionate number of Puerto Rican citizens who got turned down because the SBA did not understand what kind of tax returns they file.
Right.
And because if all their income comes from the island, they file a return with the government of Puerto Rico. If they get income from the United States, they file it with the IRS. So they have to figure out which return to file. SBA did not understand that. And
Yeah.
so if they filed with the with Puerto Rico government, sorry, that doesn't count. You must not be a citizen. I mean, I swear that's what the SBA thought.
Yeah.
But hey, once you understand the rest of the story, and
Yeah.
especially have someone from Puerto Rico explain it to you, it was really a very powerful message that he was sending. Okay, so some of the lyrics, as the songs were originally recorded, are profane. I don't think they're profane on the level that Kid Rock's are,
No.
but hey, I've been singing rock and roll songs. I've been singing the sex, drugs, and rock and roll songs for the last 50 years. I mean,
You
that's,
know, that's we grew up on that. I mean,
but at the same time, we haven't really put, let's just say we didn't necessarily put David Bowie out there as a symbol of Christianity like they did Kid Rock during the Super Bowl. So
well, and then
I just thought it was very, and Brantley Gilbert. I used to like Brantley Gilbert until I saw him in concert. I liked some of the songs.
yeah.
Saw him in concert in Mobile 2 years ago as well. And the only person that cursed more than Kid Rock was Brantley Gilbert in his concert. It was F this and F that. And I mean, I actually left because I was just tired of hearing it. I mean,
Yeah.
sorry, I guess I'm a prude, but
No, I
I
come
tell
to
you,
hear music, not that. If I wanted to hear that, I'd go to a comedy show, you know?
well, we white people, MAGA, I'm not MAGA as you well know, but
Yeah.
the MAGA white people have gotten so sensitive. And I'm sure, and I know it's because of Trump, because Trump, but I've been treated so unfairly. Everything, the world's against me. Everything's terrible. And now they've identified with this concept of, well, now the Latino population is out to get the white people.
Yeah.
I mean, is it wrong? I mean, Puerto Rico's in the United States. Have you traveled to Miami lately? Half the radio stations broadcast in Spanish. Half the billboards are in Spanish. I mean,
Well, it's and the hypocrisy of it is they're here that's what they do is like, okay, we can't watch this because it's offensive morally. We have to have our own Christian show and yeah, let's get Kid Rock. And the point's been made all week that, he has a song called Cool Daddy Cool. This is the lyrics. Young ladies, I like them underage. See how some say that's statutory, but I say that's mandatory.
mandatory.
That sounds
Yep,
more like something out of the Epstein files than music.
it
Uh,
really is.
uh, but that's who they put on a pedestal this weekend, as opposed to
Yep,
a singer from Puerto Rico who is more relevant in the world of music than Kid Rock is.
yep.
And
So,
he toned down some of his stuff for the show, and I watched it, and I understand what he's saying. Though I've tried to learn Spanish and had no luck.
yep,
The thing was, like, on the scoreboard at the end, it talked about love and unity. That's
yep.
not what was being talked about in Kid Rock's show.
So on December the 20th, 2025, Kid Rock's verified Facebook account, he posted this picture. Hope you also got what you wanted for Christmas this year. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see it. All right, can you make out what he's holding?
No,
Okay, so over on this
yeah,
side, it's a coloring book that says, quote, fuck off, I'm coloring dicks. And then of course over on this side is a basically a male penis and testicles
yeah.
charcuterie board. December the 26th, 2025, just over a month ago, a month and a half ago, on his Facebook page.
Hmm. I said that's the so-called
This is
bastion of
hypocrisy.
Christian morality. But
This is this is
let's just
hypocrisy.
be completely blunt. Yeah, I get people maybe they don't listen because they don't like or appreciate that kind of music, but
I,
the majority that concert was staged by racists who didn't want to see brown people performing. That's all
yep.
it is.
Well, let me tell you, this nationalist Christian movement, I know you've read some of the stuff I posted on Facebook about it. It's
Yeah.
something that's very deeply, deeply concerning to me. And
Yeah.
there is a racist aspect to it. I mean, a lot of people
Yep.
just call it the white Christian nationalism, but in a nutshell, it's where MAGA, because this is primarily the proponents of it, and
Yeah.
frankly, Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA was one of the leading disciples of it. It's this intertwining
Yeah.
of the MAGA political policies with the teachings of Christ.
Yeah.
And I've got news for you. Christ does not need MAGA. He does not need Donald Trump.
See?
He did not need Charlie Kirk to 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 preach his message and to augment his message.
Right.
Christ's message is his message. It is the only way, the truth, and the life.
Yep.
So this was really kind of and I wanted to just read this real quickly. It's a little long, but I think it really kind of crystallizes. There's a guy I follow on Facebook named Pastor Brandon, and I don't think he's a pastor of a large church, but he's obviously a Christian. And he had spoke out in his church and also on his own personal Facebook page about Trump posting that racist image of the Obamas, and he caught a lot of crap for it. But here's what he wrote. I'm gonna give him credit because it's Pastor Brandon. You can look him up. You can look him up on Facebook under
Yeah.
Pastor Brandon,
I think I've seen that.
Brandon. If your Christianity doesn't sound like Jesus, it's not Christianity. It's something else. Jesus opens his most famous sermon with blessed are the poor in spirit, the meek, the merciful, the peacemakers. MAGA Christianity opens with strength, dominance, enemies, and winning. Jesus says, blessed are the meek. MAGA Christianity elevates dominance. Never apologize, never back down. Meekness is treated as weakness. Jesus says, love your enemies. MAGA Christianity rewards cruelty, crushing and humiliating opponents because targeting the opposition is its primary fuel source. Jesus says, blessed are the merciful. MAGA Christianity treats mercy as weakness and cruelty as virtue. Retribution gets rebranded as righteousness. Jesus says, turn the other cheek. MAGA Christianity glorifies aggression, preemptive threats, public intimidation, and the fantasy of righteous violence. Jesus warns against storing up earthly power. MAGA Christianity baptizes power, flags it, and calls it faith. Jesus centers the poor, the marginalized, the overlooked. MAGA Christianity centers on grievance, nostalgia, and the fear of losing control. Jesus says his kingdom is not of this world. MAGA Christianity keeps trying to take this one by force, law, and when a movement consistently produces the opposite fruit of Jesus' clearest teaching, we don't need spin, we need honesty. If we set out to design a religion that contradicts the Sermon on the Mount point by point, it would look eerily familiar. When your Christianity needs power to survive, it has already abandoned Jesus. And I'll just say to that, amen. But this is where we are right now.
I know. There's, I can't remember if I sent the link today, but so there's this congressman from Tennessee, what's his name? Andy Ogles, who's calling for a investigation of the halftime show because of this.
Yeah.
Ed Sullivan thing. He didn't do that in his song. He cleaned it
Right.
up a little bit, like the
Yep.
Rolling Stones. Let's spend some time together instead of just. But he's making a federal case of it. But again, it's
But
just
it's that fragile ego all of a sudden that
well, it's
there's
even
no
more than
resilience
that.
anymore. It's like, okay, it was just a song. Hey, who cares?
Yeah. It's more than that because it fortifies their message. And what is the message right now is, you know, we need to get all of the brown people that are illegal out of our country, but we really should get all the legal ones out too. It still comes down to racism. And then you talk about the Christian nationalism. It might be named differently, but it's always been around.
Yeah, it has been.
Civil
It's just
War.
gotten worse. I mean, I think it's gotten
Yeah.
worse though.
Yeah.
I
The
think it's
Civil
gotten worse.
War and the Civil Rights era, a lot of Protestant white churches in the South never got the credit they deserve for creating the environments that really brewed that stuff up
Yeah.
because they taught, and I had people tell me this when I was a kid in the 70s, that the white Christians, that they're mandated by God to subjugate blacks because they're an inferior race, and the
Mm-hmm.
curse of Canaan says that this has to happen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, anybody with any sociological background will tell you that sub-Saharan Africans were not descendants of Canaan. Or
Yeah.
whatever happened with Noah there after the flood, you know, it's just a reasoning to try to validate the white man's burden or why the
Yeah.
white race is superior. And
Yeah.
they used it for the validate slavery, to validate segregation, and they're still using it.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, at what point, you know, the simplest definition of Christian is like Christ. That's
Mm-hmm.
not what I see.
Yeah.
So you know, it's where does it end?
Pastor Brandon posted a reply that another pastor, an alleged pastor, sent to him. And he had it marked out. I mean, you can see it's marked out so you can't tell who sent it.
Yeah,
It's been redacted. Pastor Brandon, I look forward to your first day in hell, where you know you will rot and burn for all eternity. We are told to submit to our government leaders, and speaking against our Christian president is an affront to God himself. And it will be remembered. You will burn, and I will laugh at you. Enjoy eternal torture with all of your liberal, gay, transgender friends. Who knows? You're probably transgender and gay too. Go fuck yourself. Pastor, whatever his name was.
yeah, yeah,
Really?
exactly.
Golly.
Yeah, it's really incredible because you know we live in the Bible Belt, you know, and there's some churches out there that are claim to be Christian, but they're spouting all this out.
Yeah.
And you know, I hear what you're saying, but I don't see it in the Bible. Maybe in the Old Testament when he had the angry God that liked to smite people 10,000 at a time because it pissed him off a little bit, but nothing in the gospel and nothing in the you know the New
Yeah,
Testament.
there's definitely some really interesting things in the Old Testament. You know, when you have a new Christian, you don't really want to send them to Genesis and Exodus and Leviticus first. You
Yeah,
need to get them started in the Gospels first. One of the most I did have the honor to with a group of Christians to read the Bible cover to cover a year ago. 2024, but in chronological order. You can buy a chronological Bible, so it reads just like a history book, and it really made so much more sense because everything fits
yeah,
now in the timeline.
right,
But you know, reading some of Moses's law, you know, one of my favorite ones was if two Israelites are fighting against each other, and the wife of one of them
mhm,
grabs the genitals of the one he's fighting to
yeah,
give her husband an advantage, you are to cut off her arm. Show
right,
her no mercy.
exactly. So
So you just got to scratch your head about that one.
yeah, no, wherever the others, like you could be stoned for mixing textiles in the same garment. You
Yeah.
could,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
there's that whole thing about brother-in-law marriage where, you know, where
Yeah.
Onan died, you know, because he pulled
And
out early.
King David had like 200 wives and 400 concubines. But
Yeah,
when he was 80 years old and he was frail and he was cold,
yeah,
so he got them to go out and find an 18-year-old virgin to lie with him, not to have sex with, but just to
yeah,
lie with him to keep him warm.
a belly warmer.
I haven't been able to talk that one into anybody yet. So,
Well,
and
we'll,
I know we're getting way off track here, but
I mean,
it is kind of interesting.
these are all things I questioned. You know, it's why deep down I'm an agnostic. I think there's a God, but I don't know the whole story. And the reason, you know, no book pisses me off more than Job. You know, you've got this
Yeah,
man who is a stellar worshiper of God.
yeah,
And then you've got this spoiled son of yours that just likes to do parlor bets and say, hey, I bet I can make him curse you. Okay,
yeah,
go ahead and kill his children, destroy his house, with his flocks. Okay. Well,
yeah,
I didn't do enough. If I did a little more, he would do it. All right. Well, you know,
yeah.
rough him up, but don't kill him. And
Well,
then
yeah, and
at the
I love Job. But
I know.
here's why I love
Yeah.
Job. Because although I think Job was probably a real person,
Mhm.
I don't think everything I think it's more of a parable. Now,
Yeah.
my personal opinion is that the book of Job was written by Solomon because it's almost like poetry. When you read where his three friends are having the debate with him, and then when he's having the argument with God, I mean, you would have had to have a transcriptionist there to
Yeah.
capture the emotion and the words, the vocabulary that is used. So I think it was a really, really intelligent person that was trying to say, look, bad things happen to good people, and
Yeah.
we don't always know why. And at the end of the day, you just have to have your faith in God that it's not because you've done something bad or that necessarily somebody's trying to do something bad to you. It's just
Yeah.
that sometimes poop happens.
Well,
And I do kind of like the God's monologue at the end because he says, dude, I am the sovereign God,
mhm,
and I am the creator. I hung the stars in the sky.
right.
And so, and then of course there is redemption again. And even though he is obviously in a very, 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 very low place and his kids, again, I don't think it actually happened like that. I think it is a story. I think it's like a
Well,
parable.
could be.
We're making it, we're giving a lesson on faithfulness to God by giving a really extreme example, really extreme, but I do think I think it's, there may be some reality to it, but I think it's
Yeah.
80%, I
Who
think,
knows?
hypothetical, just to illustrate the point. So I love Job.
The religion that I was in kind of said that the Bible was inspired, so whoever wrote it was they were told to write it that way or were influenced to write it that way, so it was true. My big thing though is that, all this stuff happened to Job and he gets upset with God and God gets upset with him and like, why are you blaming me? Well, you know what? God, you're the one that told Satan twice, you can do all this stuff. You know what that's called? A co-conspirator. It's
Yeah.
just like a
Now,
mafia don that orders a hit. He might
see,
not
I,
pull the trigger, but he's guilty of
yeah.
the crime.
See, I mean, and I know that's what the scripture, but I
Yeah,
personally do not believe Satan has access to God's throne anytime he decides to go up there and see him.
yeah.
I don't believe. I mean, I think to illustrate the story and to tell the story, but I think that from a practical standpoint, I just don't see that happening. I just can't see it happening.
Well, and then
Is there
there's
evil in the world? Is there evil in the world? Absolutely.
the other one
But I
is
just
David, as you brought out, like obviously everything happened with Bathsheba. Technically, he was supposed to be put to death. Wouldn't happen.
absolutely,
And then the
absolutely.
other thing was that toward the end of his life, you're talking about the belly warmer, but also he sinned by after God told him not to, he took a census of the people. So
Yep. And he
then
was
God gives
punished.
no, God gives him a choice of punishment. One of
Mm-hmm.
them was to go on the run again, like he had twice in his life from Saul and from Absalom,
Mm-hmm.
or I'll put out a plague, and tens of thousands of people died. That didn't affect David.
Mm-hmm.
He probably, oh yeah, they picked the most wicked people, but that didn't punish David.
Mm-hmm.
It's I don't know. It's different talk track, but this is a country based on freedom of religion, and it's like it sounds to me like we're on the road to trying to create a national church, which
Mm-hmm.
we've tried to avoid because England has the Anglican Church. It's the state church. The queen or king is the head of the church.
Well, one of the main reasons our country was founded, the one reason why the Pilgrims came over here was
Yes,
they would not have to worship in the churches in the
right,
state's church. So I came across a great clip from George Bush. I think it was from 2011, and it wasn't really about a religion. I kind of bounced to hear about a little bit before it kind of gets back into the immigration piece of it. I just thought it was really apropos for the time that we're in right now. Somebody had asked him about immigration, and there were just as many Democrats as there were Republicans opposed to a path for citizenship for illegal immigrants that were in the country. So again, this is 2011. This is what 15 years ago, and there's more immigrants here today than ever were
right.
illegally or otherwise. But what Bush said, he said, look, our nation, the flavor of our nation comes from immigration. And our so many of the immigrants that are here are filling jobs that either Americans don't want to do
Mhm.
or that they can do better than our American citizens can.
Exactly.
And we need to honor that. And he said, he hoped that one day, he said it's going to take some time, but he really hoped that one day there would be a consensus and a compromise on a path to to get these people, to keep these people, and to really fully integrate them into our society. And he mentioned three things. He said, back in the 1920s, there was an America First
Mhm.
philosophy,
Right.
and it directly led to World War II. And then earlier than that, in the 1930s, there was the Smoot, what was the tariff bill, which was like, we don't want to trade, we want it all to be here, and that didn't work out.
Mhm.
And then we took the policy of we don't need immigration.
Yeah.
And he said that all these three things, none of it actually worked out well for our country. And of course, he's talking about, he's saying 20, 15, 16 years ago. And wow, how prescient of him, because that's exactly where we find ourselves today.
Right.
America first and screw everybody else in the country, in the world. We don't want immigrants. We don't want trade. One man passed $800 billion tax on the American people, and all of MAGA laid down and blessed it.
Mhm.
But it is directly on point to where we are today. And I even said, because I posted that video on my Facebook page, I said, it would really be nice if the Democrats would acknowledge, hey, we really screwed up during Biden's administration. We let millions of people into this country, either completely illegally by ignoring it, or by a bunch of bogus asylum applications when
Right.
they were really not seeking asylum. They were not really tortured or under any danger of the country they were in. And now the Republicans, that pendulum has swung completely to the other side now. Now the Republicans are doing these mass rounds of, grabbing people off the street at Home Depot, and kids are afraid to go to school because they're afraid they're going to get deported. And yes, let's get the murderers. Let's get the people that have been convicted of felonies. Let's get them out of the country. If we know they're on a terrorist watch list, let's get them out of the country.
Yeah.
But today, if the only thing you've done is come in with a bogus asylum application, or if you did slip across the border, but you've been here and you've kept your nose clean, you're working, you got a
Mhm.
family, let the Republicans and the Democrats come together and come up with some kind of a plan. Okay, you're going to pay a $5,000 fine per person, pay it over 5 years. We're going to put you on probation. You get arrested or you get convicted of a felony, you're out. You serve your time and then you're out. But then after 5 years, if you've kept your nose clean, then that gets you a green card. And then 5 more years, keep your nose clean. Now we'll make you a citizen. Because look, you paid a fine. It's a civil crime. It's not a felony. It's a civil offense. And come together.
Yeah.
Look, they're here.
Yeah.
They are here. There is nothing that you're going to do without ripping our society, the fabric of our society, apart to kick them out of the country. There's too many of them now. Find a way to say, all right, hey, the border's closed. There's no more water coming in the lake.
Mm.
But I got a bunch of water in the lake. And
Yeah.
it's not going to go anywhere. Let's just learn to live with it.
Well, magic question too is the diligence that MAGA, for the most part, wants to get rid of all these illegal immigrants. Why are we not prosecuting the people in this country who are hiring them?
Yep.
Never happens.
Yep.
Never happens.
Doesn't.
Because why? Because most of them are probably people who donated to Donald Trump's campaigns or buy his cryptocurrency or whoever, who knows what else. But, they come because they know actually a lot of these people, they send recruiters into these countries to
Mm-hmm.
tell them, come on in. When I was a project manager years ago, that was my original degree field before the
Mm-hmm.
2008 bust. But I was on the project, we put the new two-story back end on the outside headquarters to Hobart.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm in my office trailer one day, and this kind of caricaturish Hispanic guy comes in with slick back hair with Wellington, and he's like, "I know you need workers. I can help you out." And I'm like, we're kind of full staff. What are you talking about? He's like, I could get you 20, and he kind of did this like fully documented workers to New Orleans by
Mm-hmm.
tomorrow. And I'm like, well, we're really, we're most, I'm a general contractor. We're mostly subs do
Mm-hmm.
this stuff. Or I can get you 20, there's 25 right now in the Port of Houston. And it's like two
Wow.
things. That is, they're being brought into the country. And the thing I've been saying forever, we fixate on the Rio Grande and the wall.
Mm-hmm.
The majority of the illegals are coming in through our ports,
Yep. Yep.
and we're not cracking down there. But
Nope.
also the fact that they're sending recruiters into these countries begging them to come in
Yep.
because they'll come in and work far harder than most Americans for a lot less money. It's just
Yep.
economic.
Yep.
And then apparently, if you get caught or they get caught, I thought they were legit. There's no repercussions. If some business owners were prosecuted, that might stanch some of the flow too, but it's not happening.
Yep.
Uh,
When the caravans were coming in under Biden, and the news media would track them from where the caravan would start in South America somewhere,
yeah,
and then track them all the way as they were walking through Central America to get to the United States border. And agree or disagree with the philosophy of our country and our government took, because I think if we had been more forceful to say no, we're not going to let you in,
yeah,
unless you have a really legitimate and we can validate your asylum application.
yeah,
Don't worry. But you have to at least say, my God, look at the dedication for someone that will walk throughout Central America
yeah,
just to have a chance to start a life here. I mean, as an American, I'm almost brought to tears even think about that, because then I look at my friends who are so angry that a guy sang 20 minutes in Spanish at the halftime show, that they have to have their own halftime show.
yeah.
And it's like, that's not resilient.
No,
Somebody that walks across Central America to get here is resilient.
yeah,
To me, if they don't have a criminal record and they prove themselves once they get here, that's who I want to have living here. It's almost like the people that left their cozy lives in the East and went across in wagon trains across the West, across the
right,
plains to settle the West. They were true pioneers. It was that spirit that they carried with them,
yeah.
that and the dangers that they faced.
Look at the surnames in this country now. I mean, this has been going on for 250 years.
Yeah,
The first big wave was Irish that received the exact same feeling of today. Then the Chinese came in through California during the gold rush. Then the Italians came in, the Germans
yeah.
came in, the Scandinavians come in.
The black and the blacks came in through.
Exactly. That's why France gave us that statue. We are a beacon of hope to the world, and we're accepting of people who want freedom and are willing to make a life and earn a living. And when did we stop being that country?
Yeah,
Because the Irish didn't go through immigration; they just walked, got off the boat.
oh, yeah. They just got off the boat.
Same with the Italians. Same with our ancestors.
Yeah,
Ellis Island didn't really happen until the late 1890s.
yeah.
When naturalization became a real thing.
Taylor Sheridan. I don't know if you've ever watched any of the Taylor Sheridan stuff. The guy that created
Yeah,
Yellowstone. And one of the prequels to Yellowstone was the series 1923, and was
I watched it.
basically,
Yeah.
but it really had one of those angles of where, I mean, even a lady that came from um, a very high-bred family
Hmm.
that was trying to get to the United States to be with her fiance, well, I guess technically she was married to him at the time, but
Yeah.
one of the Dutton boys, and coming across on the ship, and having to ride in steerage, and just all the evil that could befall people as they
Right.
come across. I mean, again, you had to really be dedicated to get here,
Right.
and we take it for granted because
Yeah.
we were literally born into it. And thank you, Lord, for that grace. But at the same time, I think we have the responsibility to show some grace ourselves.
Right.
And again, I am not in favor of just blanket immigration.
Hmm.
I'm just trying to be realistic. They're
Right.
here, and we literally cannot, and I don't think we will go and rip the fabrics of our society out to try to
Yeah.
pull the people that are here that have been here for years. What are you going to do with their kids? You know, you got a kid that maybe came in with their parents when they were 3 years old. They've been here for 12 years and they're 15,
Yeah.
or they're 18, or they're 19. They're not legal citizens, but they've lived here all their life. You're going to send
Yeah.
them to Venezuela where
Right.
they've never have lived?
No.
I
And
mean,
it's it's that's kind of part of it is these people came in, and then this is the treatment they're giving, and this is MAGA's all up in arms, but it's hypocrisy because remember, these are the same people that freaked out when the Clinton administration tried to remove that little Cuban boy from
yeah,
under
Elian
legal
Gonzalez.
terms. Oh, that's just terrible. And then, uh, Obama in 8 years under his administration, 3.5 million illegals were deported.
Yeah,
What's the difference is that was done under rule of law. It was done procedurally properly. So
yeah,
there wasn't, because they're like, oh, why, Obama did that, but y'all didn't. Right. Well, he didn't send mass people in vague uniforms out, creating the atrocities that's happening now.
yeah.
Uh, they just had people in uniforms picking people up and sending them through the process.
I saw a video today. There was a congressional hearing of some of the DHS employees
Yeah.
that supervise ICE, and there was a video that one of the congressmen played, and basically it was a woman. I think it was a woman. They had pinned face down on the ground on asphalt, three people on top of her, and a fourth guy comes in with his pepper spray foam bottle
Right.
that far from her face and just
Yeah.
filled her face with pepper spray while she's already on the ground. Now, I'm sorry, that's assault.
Yeah.
That's assault and battery.
And that's not even
Excuse me, and the congressman said, "Is this procedure? What is the purpose of pepper spray?" Well, the pepper spray is to de-escalate situations. It's
well, and
supposed to
then
be used at a distance, and he had to admit, no, this is not
well,
per
at
our
first
protocol.
he said, "Oh, we're not looking this at the proper context. We need to see the whole video."
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But also, I can't remember which congressman it was, just flat out asked the question, can we not just have law enforcement that doesn't wear masks with proper uniforms that are clearly
yeah,
marked up? He just said no.
yeah.
And he's like, that is not an acceptable answer.
And see, why should we allow a federal police force to have lower standards than we expect out of our own local police force? You live in Santa Rosa County, right? So if Santa Rosa County deputies walked around like ICE agents, they're kitted out like they're in SEAL Team 6,
Yeah.
no identification, mask, unmarked cars, roaming the streets. We'd vote the sheriff out in a heartbeat. He
Yeah.
would never stand for re-election, ever.
Yeah.
But yet, because we don't have the political power to actually vote our local community,
Mm-hmm.
the citizens of Minneapolis can't vote out the president.
No, they
They did,
tried.
there's not enough of them. The residents of Santa Rosa County, the residents of Covington County, Alabama, can't
Yeah.
vote out the president. Our local police, we can vote out the sheriff, we can vote out the mayor. If the Andalusia Police Department started wearing masks and acting like ICE, we would never tolerate it.
but
Why should we tolerate it if it's ICE? Oh, I'm sorry. It's because they're getting brown people. That's different. That's different. What was I thinking? That's all completely different.
there's no, all they're asking for is accountability. The same
Yeah,
thing in Santa Rosa
exactly.
County. Anytime a deputy uses deadly force, what happens? He's put on paid administrative
Administrative
leave,
leave.
and there's
There's a
an investigation. And
FDLE comes in with the
yes,
investigations. Not even investigated by the sheriff's office. It's the FDLE that comes in the
yeah.
investigation.
And
An
if
independent
there's
agency.
yes, and if there's problems, they can be charged.
Yep.
None of that's happening with ICE.
Nope.
It's just been mandated executions. And then, like kind of like the meme I sent you the other day, there's MAGA people that think that's all funny.
Yep.
We fought the law and the law won.
Yep.
That was a sick human being that posted that and thought it was funny.
Yep.
But
Just
that's,
like there's one pretty outspoken white elderly female. I will not name her name on the air,
I
but
think I
you
know.
probably know who she is.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, she says, "Hey, I don't mind carrying my passport around to prove I'm an American citizen." It's like, yeah, right. Like they're going to actually arrest you and think that white-headed, 130-pound, white elderly female in Santa Rosa
Mm,
County
right.
is illegal. But I tell you what, if your hair was brown, your eyes were brown, your skin was brown, you're at risk. And I just don't think that we as American citizens have to start walking around, that all American citizens have to start walking around with proof of citizenship like our driver's license. I
Yeah.
mean, that's overkill to me.
Well, we can't. We walk around with a driver's licenses, but I don't have to carry my passport around with me. I don't have to carry
But see, your driver's license, you
anything.
could be illegal and get a driver's license. They won't count it.
Yeah.
So I want to see citizenship.
So I have.
Have you got your birth certificate on you there, Jonathan? I have no idea where mine is.
I know where mine is, but I don't carry it around with me. Now, if I need two forms of picture ID, I've got my concealed carry permit, so I show them that. But the funny part is with that same person that, yes, I know who you're talking about. Her frustration when you finally proven her wrong is kiss my grits.
Yep, yep.
How would she feel if she was kind of semi-detained and questioned, being the white Christian
According to her, she'd be
lady?
honored. It's like her patriotic duty to be rousted by ICE.
Yeah,
So you're right. Yeah, let's.
you believe that?
I want to no, not for a skinny minute. I don't believe that. She's the biggest complainer in Santa Rosa County.
Or
So
one of them, yeah, definitely.
one
But
of them at
it's
least.
so yeah, it's just there's just so much hypocrisy in the whole thing,
It
and
really is. It
and
really
there's a
is.
lot of dog whistles involved. It's still, you know, same thing. Hitler didn't invent racism in Germany; it was already there. He just fanned the flames. Things happening now. Racism's never gone away. There's a line from a song in the 80s. Can't remember the guy's name now, but it's like, uh, they passed the law in 64. Those, got more, but it doesn't change what's in people's minds.
Yeah.
So I lived in the South post 64. I heard what people said, all of the jokes, all of, about the welfare queen and the
Yeah.
out, and all of that. And it's like racism never went away. It just kind of went in the closet for a while. But Trump's making it mainstream again.
Let me tell you, I think no, it didn't evaporate. I think it got better, but I do believe it's worse. I
It's
believe
different.
it's worse today. I think that whatever hidden seeds of it were still there while it had been suppressed, I think in those people they've allowed it to resprout. I was just thinking today, I was watching Jon Stewart last night on the Daily Show, and he was talking about the Super Bowl. And he said, when did it become the Super Bowl halftime's responsibility to unite the country? I mean, when did we put that burden? The unification of our country sits on the halftime show of the Super Bowl. And he said it would seem like there would be someone else
Well, yeah.
that maybe has a higher position that should be in charge of unifying the country. Gee, I
Yeah.
wonder who that would be. Let me tell you, Trump does Trump makes no effort to unify the country.
No.
And I have never felt, I mean, I'm going to be 67 years old next month. And I had been, my first presidential election vote was cast for Ronald Reagan in his first run for president. So I've voted for Republican ever since. Now I didn't vote for Trump. I wrote in Nikki Haley's name, but she's still a Republican. And I knew she was not going to win, but I couldn't bring myself to vote for him. And I could not bring myself to vote for Kamala. But point being, I have never felt the country as split as I have now. And I honestly felt like when Obama was first elected, I thought this is going to be it. This is going to rip our country in half. But it didn't. Now,
No.
did I like Obama? No, I didn't care for Obama. His presidency did not rip our country in half. I didn't care for Bill Clinton. His presidency did not rip our country in half. Donald Trump's presidency is even Joe Biden. I wouldn't give you three plug nickels for Joe Biden. But his presidency did not rip our country in half. Donald Trump is ripping our country in half. It's basically MAGA versus everybody else. And there's very little conversation takes place with MAGA. They don't care to talk. It's like I read in that Pastor Brandon wrote. If I can bully you, I can intimidate you, I can overwhelm you,
Yep.
I can get you so distracted by the chaos of the day, I win.
Yeah.
I don't want to compromise with you. I just want to beat you. You
Yep.
know, at Charlie Kirk's funeral,
Mhm.
I wasn't a fan, but even at Charlie Kirk's funeral, Donald Trump says, well, Charlie had one on me. Charlie said, love your enemies. He says, not me. I hate my enemies.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think I've ever heard a president ever say that before about other American citizens
Well, let's just be blunt. He's not presidential at all.
at all.
He has no decorum. He has no value of presidential decorum, how presidents should comport themselves.
Tradition.
George Washington set
Actually,
those.
actually wore my Gulf of Mexico hat today.
But besides the dividing, he's also launching an assault on our Constitution, and so many people are helping him in that endeavor, and a lot of them were never Trumpers. Rubio, Vance. We can go back and play the clips when
They
they
bent
they,
they
they
bent
talk bad about him, and now
they
he's
bent the
there.
knee.
Exactly. Send
Bent
him.
the
I
knee for
think that's.
the political power. They bent the knee.
I think my question for closing out is one I'll address to Republicans who are kind of like yourself that haven't, but still. When is there going to be a united effort to put an end to what he's doing internally?
Yeah.
Um, I always go back to history. Everything relates back. A lot of what's happening now, I do see a historic parallel. 68. A lot of the kind of the same things were happening.
Mhm.
Maybe now it's worse, but also, a lot of Republicans stuck with Richard Nixon to the very end until the smoking gun came out. And the reason they did it was like, if we take part in his downfall, we'll never have power in this country again.
Yep.
So they put it off till the very, very end. Well, what happened? 6 years later, Ronald Reagan comes in the Reagan Revolutions.
Yep.
You didn't lose power. If anything, you gained respect because you finally stood up to him. Bob Dole and Goldwater went to the White House like, you got to
Yep.
resign. It's just
Yep.
time.
Jonathan, I don't know the answer to that question. I will
Yeah.
tell you this: they could find a video of Trump on Epstein Island having sex with a 16-year-old boy,
Mm-hmm.
and he would still not resign.
No.
He would go down. He would go down, and he would take the whole freaking United States government with him
Mm-hmm.
because he's got too much ego, and he has no sense of no sense of anything greater than himself. He
Yeah.
is the greatest,
Exactly.
and he would do it just selfishly. Now the question is, how many Republicans in Congress would allow him to do that? And I think the question there is going to go back to what's MAGA? What would MAGA do?
Yeah.
Now, my personal opinion is MAGA would say, it was a long time ago. No big deal.
Yeah.
Especially if it turned out that that was one of the ladies that committed suicide, one of Epstein's
Right.
survivors that committed suicide. I'm not
Yeah.
saying, I'm just this total hypothetical now. I don't think MAGA would care.
No, they
I think
wouldn't.
in MAGA says when they're ripping children away from families and deporting them, they say, this is what I voted for.
Mm-hmm.
Trump is giving me what I voted for. And whatever personal failings he has, character failings, they don't care
They don't
because
care.
it's that they don't care.
Well, I made that point,
And
of this is a man who twice left his wife and married his mistress and fiddled about, was Pete Townsend would say, all in between.
yep, yep.
But
Well,
that that would never have been
Melania was
acceptable to anybody else.
when Melania was pregnant with Barron or had just given birth to Barron, he's out there with what's her face, the porn star, with Stormy Daniels.
So
So
they make excuses for him, and they justify things that they wouldn't for anybody else. So what do you call that?
yeah,
Let's not call. But
yeah.
at some point, when is there going to be any accountability?
I tell you, I think it's really going to be interesting to see what happens in the midterms.
Yeah.
And I haven't brought myself yet to say I hope the Democrats take control of both houses of Congress. But what I will say is I hope that Republican candidates will recognize that Trump's endorsement is not good for them, and the people expect them, if they want to get reelected, that they need to chart their own course and represent their constituencies and not represent Donald Trump.
Right.
Now, because right now, when you think about Vance, you think about Rubio, you think about Johnson, they're all thinking, hey, I've got power because of Trump.
exactly.
because of his base has that blind loyalty. I should say his cult has that blind
Yeah,
loyalty to him.
right.
And they will vote for him. They will vote for whoever he says vote for. You let a bunch of Trump candidates get beat in the midterms, and you let the Democrats take the House, you let them take the Senate, and all of a sudden, and now Trump is truly a lame duck president. He's
Mhm.
lost Congress. He can't get anything done. They might even, I mean, at that point in time, they might even be able to start overriding vetoes. I don't know,
Yeah,
but I think that's what's going to happen. I mean, I think that's what's got to happen. We need some adults to take over in Congress. That's the bottom line. Instead of a bunch of
yeah.
sheep, we need some adults to take
Well,
over.
and like I said, we'll need to
Yeah,
wrap it
we're
up
over.
pretty
Sorry,
soon.
Greg.
But it's
We're over. Sorry, Greg.
no, no. But I had this discussion with some people last night, and it's like, we don't really realize how bad it was in 2021 because, yeah, January 6th, all of the election was stolen. Donald Trump was going to refuse to leave the White House on January 20th.
Yeah.
Who would make him leave? How would you enforce that? Like the transfer of power by mandated by the Constitution, and he wasn't going to leave. To their credit, his daughter and son-in-law somehow tricked him into getting on the plane and going back to Mar-a-Lago. But now Steve Bannon's got this master plan. His thing is Donald Trump can run in 2028. Who's going to stop him?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's an amendment, but who's going to stop him?
Yeah.
At what point does enforcement of the law, when he flouts the court orders and he flouts the Constitution, the only really enforcement of a president is Congress and the power to impeach and our 2/3.
Well, I think they could take it. I think they can. I think they can get his name off the ballot. I mean, I think you could take that to court, and the court would order the name not be on the ballot because those that is controlled still by the states. That's
Well,
one piece of good
he's trying
news.
to change that too. So it's,
Well, but
it's still,
and that won't prevent people from writing his name in. But
yeah.
I don't think you can win an election with a write-in candidate.
But it's at what point do we have a true constitutional crisis where he just says, I'm not going to do this or I am going to do this? Who's going to stop me?
Yeah, I
And
know.
at that point, um, reading history a while back, but the topic of Reagan's first true political speech, Time for Choosing.
Hmm.
And he was talking about the tyranny and federal government. He was really talking about liberals kind of socialize this government, but now we're at a point where you got right wingers who want to make this a fascist state.
Yep, yep,
When do we choose?
yeah.
So that's
Scary.
kind of where we're at. And I don't have any answers to that because Lord knows if
Well,
we
as a
ever get.
Christian, I will continue. As a Christian, I will continue to speak out against our president.
Well, you know what that pastor said. You're going to be right in hell with
Exactly.
Brandon.
I'll have some good company though. I don't think the good Lord's going to send me to hell for speaking against moral corruption.
Yeah, no, yeah, I don't know. Lord,
I think we as Christians have an obligation to speak against it.
yeah. But I have a subscription to the newspapers.com, which is part of Ancestry. I just love digging them old newspaper articles. And like I said, throughout 1968, and I was 3 years old at the time, but I remember people talking about they really thought the end of the world was nigh because of the
Yeah,
riots in the street,
yeah, yeah,
law and order issue, the civil rights,
yeah.
the assassinations, Vietnam, all of the protesting.
Well, I was 9, so I was a little bit
Yeah,
more. I mean, I still was a child, but I was
yeah,
certainly more
you know,
aware of it. My mother worked in public schools in Mobile County, Alabama, and there were race fights every day at her school. Every day,
yeah,
it
and
was a
it's
very volatile.
well, the good news is, and I was always told, Harry Truman wrote a book, Plain Speaking. He said in that this is a very resilient country that can get back off its feet and do anything,
Yeah,
and it's everything is also cyclical. And I think what we've got now is we've cycled back from 1968.
yeah,
So in a lot
I
of
think you're
ways,
right.
it's a little bit different flavor, but it's still worse in
And
some way.
when I do start thinking how bad it is that, like the Super Bowl halftime, that
Well, yeah.
we have our feelings on our sleeves so much that we had to have our alternative Christian family values halftime show. But I remember that the Puppy Bowl beat it 2-1 in
Yeah,
viewership.
I know. It's definitely, and I mean, and people were just as up in arms back then with Woodstock.
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
World's coming to an end. This is the most
yeah. All
offensive
the
thing I've
hippies,
ever seen.
they're just gonna sit
Oh,
around and smoke
now
dope
they're
all day, and
all
now
those
it's
people are in
them.
their 80s.
Yeah, now it's them. That's
I know,
exactly right.
it's crazy, but it's,
Yeah,
I don't know. It's kind of one of those things that, like I said, Freeman talks a lot about that in that book. But this country was built to last.
yeah.
Stood the test of time to this point. But we are being tested in
We
this
really are.
juncture. So
We really are.
when it's a matter of hopefully we pass the test again and can move on because, yeah, like I said, the whole point through the time was we were evolving as a better people. Now it's like we kind of backslid on that a little bit.
Yeah. We've got to find a way to come together. We've got to stop this polarization of our friends and our family over politics, over
Yeah.
MAGA. We've got to find a way to come back and find compromise. You can't have your way about everything. I
Yeah.
can't have my way about everything.
Right.
If I can get 80% and you can get 80%, we've won.
And
Overall, we have won.
you think back on history,
And we've solved a problem.
right? Most of our greatest moments in history was when we did come together. Uh,
Absolutely.
I didn't agree with going into Iraq, but after 9/11, we all got together to fight terrorism.
We did.
We had a
We
common
did.
enemy.
Yep.
Okay. So anyway, yeah, we appreciate everyone tuning in and leave some comments in the field. Let us know what you think. We see you're watching, so we know the
Yeah.
views. Just
We appreciate it
let
too.
us know what you think. But we appreciate you for being here, and we'll do this again next week. Tony, it was great as always.
Always a pleasure, Jonathan. Thank
Yep.
you so much. Have a great week.
You too. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks. Bye
everybody.
bye.